morning, everybody at St. Henry. So, Father Bulso and I are going to be giving you some ideas for movies that you can watch while you're at home. All of us need something to do, and I felt like some movie recommendations might be helpful. When I first thought about this, I thought about movies that primarily engage adults. So the ones I'm going to recommend are not really for kids, so just be aware of that.
Which is why I'm here. Father Mark had the idea that I would recommend some movies more for the whole family, so that's what I'll be doing.
By the way, I hope you're keeping safe social distancing. You might notice that Father Bulso and I are a little closer than 6 feet, but we do share the same house. So whatever I've got, he has, and vice versa. So
we're in this together.
Yeah. All right. So the first movie I want to highlight is a movie called In America. I saw this movie many years ago, and it is a beautiful film about an Irish couple who come to the United States with 2 little girls and their 2 daughters. It's after they've had a terrible tragedy in their family, and it's a time of new beginning. It's intense, but it's also a very delightful film. Great thing to watch.
And my first recommendation is one that you will probably all remember, the Lego Movie. And this is certainly a fun movie, but also with a deeper message, especially about the role of fathers with their children, especially their sons. So very sort of surprisingly deep movie there in that way. Plus, you've got that great song, Everything is Awesome, Everything is Cool when you're part of a team, which I think is also a good message for us right now.
I've never seen a Lego Movie, but Father Bulso often gives me an opportunity to watch films, so I hope to do that sometime. Another kind of heavy movie, true historical film, the movie Gandhi. So that's from the early 80s. It is certainly not a short film, it's over 3 hours, but he is one of the most profound spiritual figures of the 20th century. So if you really want to dive deep into one of the great historical figures of the 20th century, this is a great film.
My next one is another animated movie, Inside Out. One of my favorite new movies, a surprisingly brilliant movie that is, again, both funny and deep. And you'll go from laughing one moment to almost wanting to cry the next moment. It's very much a tearjerker at certain points. But a very important message in this movie about the role of the emotion of sadness, probably one of the most misunderstood emotions. So the role of sadness. And maybe one philosophical caveat I would offer is, you might get the impression from the movie that emotions control us, but of course that's not the case. We do have reason and free will. And you can see that even in the way the emotions have to kind of deliberate what they do. But anyway, so Inside Out, great movie.
I'll second that. Father Bulso did have me watch that film with him, and I really enjoyed it. My next film is also a historical drama about the Jesuits arriving in South America called The Mission. So it's a film from 1986, very intense, profound movie about the Jesuit missions to South America back in the 1600s. Also beautiful soundtrack. So if you're looking for something to escape into in another century, this is a good one.
This is a live action movie, Secondhand Lions. This goes way back to 2003, probably before many of your children were born. And it's a movie especially about growing up, about what it means to be a man, and about what is worth believing in. And I do want to offer a slight warning for the parents. There is some mild language. It's PG, but there is some mild language, some D words and H words. So you might want to check out just your parental advisory websites to make sure you're okay having your kids watch this. I think certainly 12 years and older would be fine. So yeah.
All right, my next one is very different than the other ones, and it's a brand new film from 2018 called Free Solo. So it's the story of Alex Honnold, and he climbed, first person ever to do it, El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, and he did it without ropes. So if you want to see something that is filmed in a very stunningly beautiful way through National Geographic, you almost feel like you're on the rock ledge with him as he's climbing up. It's also incredibly nail-biting. In fact, yes. I had sweaty palms when I watched it both times. So if you're interested in something that's very intense, very interesting, Free Solo.
Yeah. And we just watched that the other night, and it is really you feel like you're on the cliff with this guy. There's another one out there too called The Dawn Wall, which I liked even a little bit better. Another great movie about climbing El Capitan. So The Dawn Wall is another one. My next official recommendation is back to an animated movie. This is called The Song of the Sea. Very beautiful, very artistically animated, and a very touching story about a brother and a sister. It's sort of a story based on Irish mythology, but very beautiful, very touching. I'm sure you're going to enjoy that.
Also, just thought I would mention, I've been trying to tempt Father Bulso with going outside doing some rock climbing, but he assured me he will not be climbing without ropes. But we did go to the Narrows of the Harpeth to do a little hiking and had a beautiful day. The spring around us was great. The next film, many of you all will know that I love. It's called The Way. It's about the Camino de Santiago, the 500-mile walk in Spain that begins in southern France on the most traditional route over to Santiago de Compostela. 6 years ago or so, I walked that 500-mile walk, and this movie is a story about a father and a son. Beautiful story. He loses his son, but in the film, he carries his son with him as he walks the Camino de Santiago. If you do watch this one, you might want to have a box of Kleenex, though.
It's true. My last recommendation, and you might think I lose man points for this one, but I promise you that's not true. This is the live-action remake of Cinderella from 2015. And really beautifully done. One of the things I love about this movie is that in an age where often our movies are filled with what you might call anti-heroes, in other words, heroes with sort of a character flaw or a chip on their shoulder, Kenneth Branagh, famous Shakespearean actor who directed this movie, really just allowed it to be the fairy tale, which is maybe more and more rare these days. And so the character of Cinderella really is allowed to be truly good and truly humble. And so it's very, very refreshing in that way. So Cinderella.
All right, I was only going to do 5 films, but you all know I can't stand to leave out The Shack. So I've already talked about that a lot at St. Henry. It's also a great connector with the mystery of God. And these days, to remember that we're connected to the mystery of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, even in our suffering, it's a great reminder. So again, you would want to have some Kleenex with you, and probably not a good film for children. Also wanted to add, if you don't like films, and this just popped into my mind, there was also a series by Ken Burns on the making of the national parks. And if you want to see the history of the making of our national parks in a beautifully filmed way, I guarantee that you will not only be inspired by the history of the parks, but I also find as much as I enjoy them, they put me to sleep well at night. So if you're looking for something that's very relaxing, that would be a good series.
So I think that ought to keep you busy for a day or two at least.
Yeah, for a day or two. Next time, Father Bulso and I may share some of our television series with you.
Yes.
But those are a bit more, we'll save those for a future day.
Bye, y'all.